Bitcoin just crossed $112,000 for the first time in its history. It dipped a little low yesterday. You can see behind me. It's now at 112,700 and pushing higher, just updated to a little bit lower, pushing its market cap to $2.22 trillion. That milestone matters, but not because of where we are today. It matters because of where we're going. Bitcoin is beginning to siphon capital away from the world's largest asset classes. Capital that was never parked there for yield or productivity, but for one purpose: preserving value. Today, global real estate is worth $370 trillion. Bonds sit at $318 trillion. Equities at $135 trillion. That's over $800 trillion in value, some 80% of the total global asset value of $1 quadrillion, most of which carries a monetary premium. Yet Bitcoin still accounts for just 0.2% of it. Not 2%, 0.2%. But that number is rising, and it's rising fast because capital is finally being offered Bitcoin-adjacent alternatives to these massive, inefficient asset classes that have become stores of value when they were never meant to be that in the first place. Start with bonds. Traditionally, institutions have relied on debt instruments for predictable yield and downside protection. But sovereign credit is being debased by design, and corporate bonds carry growing default risk and yields that are unimpressive relative to what you can obtain in the US Treasury market. So what's filling the void? Well, we can start with the latest preferred stock offering from Strategy, that being Strife, ticker STRF. It's a Bitcoin-backed preferred equity offering that mimics bond behavior with fixed payouts, predictable exposure, except this time, it's backed by the Bitcoin that is on Strategy's balance sheet. Strife is absorbing fixed income demand, but migrating it onto Bitcoin rails. It's tapping in to the $318 trillion bond market and offering a direct funnel of capital from one to the other. It's doing to bonds what Strategy and other Bitcoin treasury companies are doing to equities. Strategy wasn't just a business intelligence firm, it became a spot Bitcoin ETF du jour, a leveraged Bitcoin play, and its performance shows why. Since adopting a Bitcoin treasury strategy in 2020, Strategy has outpaced essentially every other tech equity out there. It now holds more than 2% of all Bitcoin in circulation, and in the process, created an entirely new asset class of equity: companies whose core holding and core performance metric is Bitcoin. Other public and private firms have followed suit, and Bitcoin treasury companies now provide equity investors with indirect leveraged Bitcoin exposure, many outperforming their underlying operating businesses. So the bond market has Strife, the equity market has Strategy, and a growing cohort of other Bitcoin treasury companies, but the biggest asset class in the world remains largely untouched: real estate. It's where $370 trillion of global capital sits today, about 10% of that being in the United States. Not because homes are productive assets, but because they've been one of the vehicles to store generational wealth across decades. When they're supposed to be just homes, they've become multi-generational stores of value. But they're also illiquid, geographically locked, taxed at every level, and unable to move through time or space. And until now, there's been no clean way to reallocate from property into Bitcoin. You couldn't just move part of your home equity into sound money. But that's changing. Horizon is building that bridge. Just like Strategy unlocked bond capital with Strife, just like Strategy and other Bitcoin treasury companies unlocked equity capital via Bitcoin on the balance sheet, Horizon lets people unlock dormant real estate wealth in the United States and convert it to Bitcoin ownership without selling the house, without taking on debt, without paying interest, and without extra monthly payments. And the implications are massive. A 5% reallocation out of global real estate is $18.5 trillion. If that flowed into Bitcoin, it would push Bitcoin's market cap past $20 trillion, which implies a price of $1 million per coin. A 10% reallocation would mean $2 million Bitcoin. A 20% reallocation would mean $4 million Bitcoin. And that's just real estate. That doesn't include the other $500 trillion plus sitting in bonds, equities, and broad money. If Bitcoin captures even 10% of the global asset value over the next decade, it becomes a $90 trillion to $100 trillion asset. With a supply of just under 20 million coins today, that implies a Bitcoin price between $4.5 million and $5 million. These numbers sound aggressive until you realize the existing asset classes are being hollowed out from within. Their monetary premiums are being monetized into something scarcer, more secure, more transportable. Bitcoin isn't just a new asset, it is the asset. It's a new monetary base layer, and capital is migrating. Bonds have already begun, equities are further down the road, and real estate is next. And it's here. And it's the biggest prize of all. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and reshare so more people see it. And of course, check out Horizon. Horizon lets you stack Bitcoin using your home equity without debt, interest, extra monthly payments, or term limits. You can check it out at joinhorizon.com or by scanning the QR code right there. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.